All right, let's dive in. We're talking about one of the toughest jobs in a massive trillion-dollar industry, the automotive dealer principal. It's this incredible role where old-school grit meets new-age tech, and it's creating a huge dilemma. It really forces a choice. Are you going to be a firefighter, or are you going to be a governor? Let's figure out what that even means.
And first, just to set the stage, let's talk about the sheer scale here. In 2024, franchise car dealerships in the US pulled in over $1.2 trillion in sales. That's not just a big number, that's a gigantic economic engine. And right at the center of it all is one person feeling the weight of that entire operation.
So who is this person? We call them the dealer principal. But they're so much more than just a manager. They are the executive owner, the one who's ultimately on the hook for everything, from the profits today to making sure the franchise even exists tomorrow. They have to be an investor, a data guru, and really the final judge on their business's survival.
But here's the thing. Despite that really important-sounding title, the day-to-day for most principals doesn't feel very strategic. Not at all. In fact, it's more like they're just trying to keep their head above water. They're drowning in what the source material calls systemic noise, and it forces them into this reactive mode that's way more firefighter than leader.
Think about it. Their day starts way before they even get to the dealership. They're woken up by a flood of alerts on their phone. A flagged deal from the F&I office, a bad customer satisfaction score that just came in, lead response times that are slipping. Before the coffee's even brewed, they're already putting out fires.
And this constant chaotic firefighting, well, it comes with a massive human cost. Just look at these turnover rates. They're absolutely staggering. 66% for sales consultants. That's nearly 3 times the national average. When you see that many people heading for the exit, you've got to realize that's not a hiring problem. That is a symptom of a deep structural breakdown.
All this chaos, it creates this really personal stress. For principals who are stuck in this reactive loop, the idea of growing the business, adding another store, it doesn't sound exciting. It feels, as one source so perfectly put it, like a knot in the stomach. It's this deep-seated fear that getting bigger just means losing even more control.
Okay, but here's the big insight. What if the chaos, the crazy turnover, that feeling of losing control, what if those aren't the real problems? What if they're just symptoms of something much, much deeper going on in the system? It's time to stop looking at the symptoms and finally uncover the root cause. So what is it? What is the one thing, the fundamental reason that so many smart, capable leaders are trapped in this never-ending cycle of putting out fires? Well, the answer comes down to a complete misunderstanding of what their job really is.
And this reveals 2 completely different ways to lead. On one side, you've got the firefighter. They are trapped inside the machine, constantly reacting to outcomes. Fixing a bad deal here, calming down an angry customer there. But on the other side, you have the governor. They operate above the machine. They don't micromanage outcomes. They govern the entire context where those outcomes happen.
This difference in philosophy creates 2 totally different worlds. In that old, reactive reality, a leader's whole week is spent defending past results and arguing about numbers. But under this new idea of sovereign governance, the focus completely shifts. The weekly meeting isn't a debate about performance anymore. Nope. It's a simple pass or fail check on the system's integrity. It is a complete paradigm shift. So the big question is, how does a leader actually make this shift? How do you stop being the firefighter who's always reacting and become the governor who's proactively shaping the whole environment? It all starts with one powerfully simple question. Instead of diving headfirst into a dozen dashboards, the sovereign leader just asks this: is anything violating my intent right now? And if the answer is no, then their job is to do nothing, to just get out of the way and let their people and their system do the work.
But if the answer is yes, something is violating their intent, the focus isn't on the violation itself. It's on the failure of authority that allowed it to happen in the first place. This is the absolute core of sovereign governance. You stop fixing individual problems and you start fixing the system that creates them. You stop arguing about performance and you start enforcing the boundaries.
Now, this shift from firefighter to governor, it isn't just a change in philosophy. You need a whole new set of tools. You just can't govern a complex, modern dealership with a bunch of spreadsheets and a gut feeling. To operate above the machine, you need a new kind of dashboard, what the source material calls an owner operating system. And listen, this is not just another dashboard with more charts. This is a true command center. Imagine having AI agents that don't just flag problems, but actually start taking action, or real-time alerts that trigger solutions automatically. The whole point is to automate all that busy work of the firefighter, which frees up the leader to do one thing and one thing only: govern the system.
So when you boil it all down, you've got two very different paths, two philosophies, and they lead to two vastly different outcomes for the dealer principal and for their entire business. Let's just summarize that final choice. On one side, you have the firefighter. They're judged by past results, by yesterday's numbers. And for them, growth is terrifying because it just means more chaos and less control. But on the other side, you've got the governor. They aren't judged by individual outcomes. They're judged by the integrity of their system. And for them, growth isn't just possible, it's scalable and it's controlled.
So the crucial point really is this, and this is the question to ask yourself. What are you focused on? Are you trapped in that day-to-day grind managing individual outcomes, or have you elevated your role to governing the entire context in which your team operates? The answer to that question, well, it might just determine the future of your entire enterprise.